Welcome back to AEW Change the World. I've just done booking the big pay-per-view event, All Elite Wrestling at Madison Square Garden. We've been promoting this show for weeks as the biggest event in AEW history, so let's see if we can back up those claims. Before we get into the main show, there is a pre-show match. Erica Reed, Kylie Rae and Santana Garrett defeating Zayda Zhang, Gibbs and Katrina. Kylie Rae pins Zayda Zhang in the match, her first win in AEW, gets a 41D rating. Despite some worrying individual performances, Sadie Gibbs getting an elbow MCL sprain there. Don't know the extent of that, but that is not a good sign. Kylie Rae in trouble for that there. Opening up the actual pay-per-view, a video package looks at the history of Madison Square Garden as a venue. It promotes some of the matches that will take place during the night, putting over just how much wins and losses at this iconic venue will mean to the competitors involved, bitter rivalries, championship matches and world-class wrestling will be the order of the night, with AEW, the competitors and the fans looking forward to a history-making night. The commentators then introduce the show, but this is during entrances for the 20-man junior heavyweight battle royal. We get a few surprise appearances in this. Jack Evans, Jimmy Jacobs and Paul London as three particular ones. We get to the final four of the match, which we think is Joey Janela, Darby Allin, Angelico and Jack Evans. However, MJF, who went out under the second rope, that typical spot, comes back in and throws his long-term rival Joey Janela out. That brings us to the final four, which turns the match into that four-way as promised. MJF picking up the win to become the first AEW Junior Heavyweight Champion. He might not be the most flashy in the ring, but I think he has a solid character, and he serves as that heel who everybody can chase because nobody likes MJF. A 56 C-. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of notes for that. The Chris Jericho storyline continues. I don't understand that, but nonetheless, a decent opener to the pay-per-view. MJF stands tall. He is the first AEW Junior Heavyweight Champion. We then see footage from earlier today. The Elite were shown arriving at Madison Square Garden. The group took a walk around the exterior of the building, taking a look at the iconic venue. Notable by his absence, Cody did not travel with the rest of the Elite. That is because he arrived with his wife Brandy Rhodes. They pulled up in a car at the building and were greeted by MJF and Sean Spears. Spears and MJF will not be at ringside for the main event, of course. Cody made that promise to Kenny on Tuesday Night Dynamite, but Dustin Rhodes has made that official, banning anybody in AEW from getting involved in the main event. We then get a video package highlighting the dominance of Madison Eagles in her first few months with the company. She has been probably the top name in the women's roster so far. We get a 53 C-. That is a good rating. A below average for Hikaru Shida's gimmick, but that's unfortunate. As usual, Madison Eagles with the incredible performance, but she is hit with a surprise knee strike, catch her off guard despite her seeming to be in control. Hikaru Shida defeating Madison Eagles in 11:56, another decent match. Shida stands tall. She picks up somewhat of a surprising debut victory. We then get into a video package hyping the next match, Jericho and Pac v the Young Bucks. Since day one of AEW, both Chris Jericho and Pac have had chips on their shoulders. Basically, they've just been acting terribly. Chris Jericho even getting sent home. This came to a head 4 nights ago on Tuesday Night Dynamite. Chris Jericho and Pac with a brutal attack on the Young Bucks, one of the most disgusting things we've seen in the company so far, leaving them bloodied in the ring. Going into that match, gets a 74 B-. No chemistry for Jericho and Pac, which probably hurt the match. A 60 for Pac and 65 for Chris Jericho. Those two usually get much better than that. Even Nick and Matt didn't do too good, so maybe that was something wrong with my booking notes rather than anything else. But Chris Jericho and Pac picking up a victory over the Young Bucks. That's somewhat surprising because this is their first match together as a team. Chris Jericho pins Nick Jackson with a code breaker. After the match, Pac and Chris Jericho stand tall, looking absolutely miserable. That's all they ever do in the company, so nobody should be surprised by that. Almost looking to outdo each other with their negativity. Neither one even cracks a smile, despite a huge victory. While the focus is on the winners, it's clear that Matt Jackson is concerned about his brother. The two begin an inquest into what went wrong. The commentators following that line. The Young Bucks usually so great, they've only lost one match before in AEW. What went wrong for them tonight? We then get an interview with Hangman Page and Marty Scurll, who are promoting their AEW Tag Team Championship match with the Lucha Bros later in the night. As they promote it, MJF walks into the shot. He is holding the AEW Junior Heavyweight Championship. Marty Scurll is particularly grimaces at this. He hates seeing that. MJF patronisingly wishes the Handsome Devils luck, saying that maybe since they're elite and he couldn't join the group, they'll join him as a champion later tonight. I put MJF in that for absolutely no reason. That's really confusing. Nonetheless, Brandy Rhodes brings out the new AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. I don't know why I do things like that. Before she leaves, she adds that she will have a personal announcement this week on Tuesday Night Dynamite. Until then, she wishes both sides luck in the upcoming match. The first ever AEW Women's Tag Team Championship match gets a D+ 48. 50 and 49 for the victors, Ivelisse Velez and Mercedes Martinez, showing that we made the right decision to put the titles on them. Ivelisse Velez pinning Nyla Rose with a guillotine elevated DDT. Nyla Rose, the big, stocky, difficult to break down competitor, so that is a huge, huge victory for Ivelisse Velez and Mercedes Martinez. After the match, they stand tall, being presented with the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. We then get a pre-recorded interview with the Lucha Bros speaking in Spanish. They put over the match later in the evening, calling themselves the two best individuals in any tag team in the world. When they're together, they are even better. That match gets a 75B-. I'm very, very happy with that. A 50 for Hangman Page. He's either very, very underrated or underperforming for us. Nonetheless, in 16 minutes 26, a good match with a decent reaction to Lucha Bros defeating the Handsome Devils, Pentagon pinning Hangman with the Pentagon Driver. As you can see, Hangman Page the weak link there. After the match, they stand tall with their championships. We go into an interview with Britt Baker, who is speaking to Alex Marvez. She puts over the challengers but says that she was the first champion of AEW for a reason, and if either of them want the title, they're going to have to pry it from her cold dead hands. A 39D-. This is why, well, you'll see in a moment. After the video package promoting the match, Tenille Dashwood defeats Britt Baker and Tessa Blanchard in 13:39. Tenille pinning Baker with a roaring elbow. Tenille Dashwood becoming the new AEW Women's World title. Britt Baker only made one successful defense, but she's getting a 38 there compared to Tenille Dashwood's 48. So you can see why we've had to take the title off her. She's been underperforming as a champion, and I didn't feel we had any other choice. It also leaves us open to have a Tenille Dashwood v Tessa Blanchard match because Tessa wasn't pinned. Obviously, we need to keep building them two up because that could be a huge match for us in the future. Tenille Dashwood stands tall. She is supposed to be joined by Danielle Monet, but I think she is set as a manager, so she will be on screen. She's just not in the angle. Nonetheless, new champion. We then see the footage from earlier in the week, Dustin Rhodes' statement about banning everybody from ringside. He says that there's so many factors that can go into a match that management have made the decision that every single member of the AEW roster will be barred from ringside. That way, there'll be no questions over who the better man is on the night. We then get an interview with Cody, who puts over the biggest match of his career. He talks up the occasion and what it means to him, particularly talking about what the AEW World Championship would mean to him for him to win that. As Cody signs off, ready to head out to the ring, Sean Spears and MJF walk into shot. They shake hands with him, head in the other direction. We just reminded everybody that Cody seems to be developing his own family away from the Elite at the moment. Going into that main event, a 76B-. That's decent. I would have liked it to get into the Bs, but Cody's not that good. 65 rating, as you can see. An 84 for Kenny Omega. Again, he's done better than that in the past. Nonetheless, a great wrestling match with good heat. Kenny Omega defeating Cody in 27:49 with a one-winged angel. It's a clean, fair victory. Nobody gets involved. No shenanigans. We just wanted to send him out to have the best match possible. Kenny Omega making the second defense of his AEW Men's World Championship. After the match, Kenny Omega stands tall, ending the show as he so often does at these big events. Kenny Omega still the AEW Men's World Champion. So there it is, the AEW at MSG show in the bag. 10,223 people in attendance, increasing our popularity in 30 regions with a very good 76B-. I think that might be one of the best shows we've done. Possibly not, I'll have to double check. We go forward now to Tuesday Night Dynamite. There were no huge surprises there. It was quite a straightforward. We just wanted to put on the best matches that we could, and I think there were some great matches in there. Some underperformances, some overperformances. Nonetheless, we go forward to Tuesday Night Dynamite.